So I will start this workshop with introduction on who I am, giving you some sense for the work that I do. I will provide a history of mindfulness, the types of mindfulness meditations that exist, and then introduce the practices that we'll be using, which is a 15-minute breath meditation and a 20-minute emotions-focused meditation. And then we'll close with a dedication of merit. So to introduce myself, I'm Charlie. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a New York City-based psychotherapist trained in contemplative psychotherapy, which is another way of saying Buddhist psychotherapy. I work primarily with people who are on the fringes of society, like myself, to include LGBTQI identified folks, sex workers, BDSM and kink practitioners, people who are practicing ethical non-monogamy, and people who are living unconventional lifestyles. I've been a decades-long Buddhist practitioner and a student of Advaita Vedanta, which is the Vedic teachings on non-duality. I've lived and worked in India, to include working specifically on gender issues with young girls from Varanasi's red light district, as well as abandoned widows in Vrindavan. I was also a sex worker, specifically a professional dominant. For me, gender, sexuality, and the ancient wisdom teachings of the Buddha and other great sages are pretty deeply intertwined. So, a brief history on mindfulness. More than 2,500 years ago, the Buddha, which literally means the enlightened one, codified a system of living to mitigate human suffering. The Buddha has been regarded as the great physician, as he formulated a diagnostic format to identify, explain, and provide an end to psychological suffering. Within the Buddhist doctrine are something called the Four Noble Truths. Basically, it's the truth that we suffer, which I think we can all agree with, the truth of the cause of suffering, which is the desire to get out of how things actually are in the present moment, and the truth that suffering can end, and that there is a way to end our suffering through what he called the Eightfold Path, which is a guide established by the Buddha. So to put the Four Noble Truths in more clinical terminology, the Buddha diagnosed the problem as suffering, identified its cause as clinging, and identified that there's a cure and provided a framework for the cure. So, okay, back to the Eightfold Path. Virtually every teaching that the Buddha ever gave within 45 years was centered on the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path consists of three basic elements of Buddhist practice: moral conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. So mindfulness focuses on mental discipline, which helps us to then cultivate wisdom. So what is mindfulness? I guess is the fundamental question here. At the most fundamental level, mindfulness can be defined as paying attention. More specifically, mindfulness is moment-to-moment, non-judgmental awareness that's cultivated by attending one's attention to the unfolding and fleeting mysteries of the present moment in service of self-understanding and wisdom. Teachings on present moment awareness can be found in many spiritual and religious traditions throughout the world and throughout time. Buddhism systematized and popularized mindfulness, which eventually spread to the West, where it gained acceptance as a secular practice with religious underpinnings. Steadily, interest in understanding mindfulness, as well as its efficacy as a therapeutic tool, has expanded in the last 4 decades at a rate that evidences its usefulness. Okay, so mindfulness affects many domains, including emotional regulation, increased adaptive cognitive emotional strategies, basically our ability to engage mental flexibility, to work with our minds in constructive ways, increased pain tolerance, increased body awareness, increased empathy, and a decrease in stress and an increase in sustained attention, all of which facilitate a more objective, flexible relationship to our thoughts, experiences, improving our behavior, as well as increased feelings of well-being. While the assimilation of mindfulness into the West has largely been more beneficial than harmful, When divorced from the whole of the Buddhist teachings, such as in the use of mindfulness to enhance military performance, or using mindfulness to spiritually bypass, which is essentially using spiritual ideas and practices to avoid unresolved emotional issues and developmental tasks. The practice has the potential to cause harm when the fundamental teachings of the Buddha aren't intact. Okay, types of mindfulness meditation. It feels useful to note that not all meditation used within Buddhism is mindfulness meditation. Zen Buddhists in Japan often practice something called shikantaza, which is translated in English as just sitting. And in Chinese Zen, Buddhists practice something called silent illumination. Both of these practices are what's called open awareness practices. Unlike mindfulness meditation, the meditator doesn't use a point of focus, but rather opens their awareness, kind of like opening a camera lens to include everything that's happening in that moment. You start small, you have a focal point, and slowly you expand to include everything that can be perceived, simply observing each moment as it comes and goes. Mindfulness meditation, on the other hand, requires a point of focus. Often people rest their attention on their breath. Some people use a visualization practice, and others use the sensation of their feet touching the ground as they walk. Mindfulness over time helps us to train our attention and settle our very active monkey minds, which are always creating a story and keeping us from being in contact with our underlying emotions and even our intuition. Throughout time and throughout the world, mindfulness has taken many forms and is extended to include territory that is often considered mundane and unreligious. The veil between spiritual life and everyday existence becoming ever thin as mindfulness extends to our eating practices, bathing, walking, listening, and even our sex lives. So the introduction of the meditations that we will be doing. Within Buddhism, there are 4 foundations or domains for mindful contemplation. The 4 foundations comprise the entire field of human experience: mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling or emotions, mindfulness of states of mind, and mindfulness of things that keep us from really being free in our lives, or in other words, hindrances. Ultimately, the Buddha was providing instructions on his own path to liberation from suffering, and had suggested that each one of us investigate for ourselves by taking time to look deeply into our moment-to-moment experience, which I think is the heart of meditation. It's an opportunity to step back from being absorbed in the flow of thoughts so that we can really see what's happening inside of us, meeting each sensation, thought, emotion, and subtle undercurrent in a spirit of non-judgmental awareness and compassion. So today we'll be exploring 2 practices: mindfulness of breath and a practice on sitting mindfully with difficult emotions. The first practice, mindfulness of breath, is a quintessential Buddhist meditation and is a form of mindfulness of the body, the first foundation of mindfulness. It's said that the Buddha, after many years of trying to free himself from suffering, decided to sit under a Bodhi tree and gently rested his attention on his breath, and that this was his first step towards freedom. The second practice, sitting with difficult emotions, is the second foundation of mindfulness, which is mindfulness of feelings or emotions. And it's combined with something called loving kindness meditation, or what they call metta in Pali, which is the language that the Buddha spoke. And loving kindness meditation is a meditation that the Buddha taught to help cultivate compassion. In our meditation, instead of cultivating compassion for someone else, we'll focus on cultivating compassion primarily for ourselves, which is the person we're often the hardest on and who we forget to act compassionately towards. So find a comfortable way to sit, adjusting your posture so that your spine is upright without being rigid or stiff. Rest your hands in your lap or on your legs. Allow your eyes to gently close. Bring full attention to the physical sensations of sitting still. Allow your breathing to be natural. Bring attention to your head. Release any tension in the face. Soften the eyes. And relax the jaw. Scanning the body slowly downward. Relax the neck and shoulders. Feeling the rise and fall of the chest and abdomen with the breath. Soften the belly with each exhalation. Bringing the attention all the way down through the body to the places of contact with the chair. Allow your body to be supported by the seat you're on. Feel the pressure and density of the relaxed, upright body sitting. Bring your full attention to the present time experience. Acknowledge the full range of phenomena that are happening in the moment. Thinking is happening. Hearing is happening. Seeing, even with your eyes closed. Tasting. Smelling. And physical and emotional sensations are all present in this moment. Allowing all the experiences to be as they are. Redirect your attention to the sensations of the breath. Let the other sense experiences fall to the background as you bring the awareness of breathing to the foreground. Take a few moments to investigate where you feel the breath the most easily. Perhaps it's at the base of the nostrils, or in the rising and falling of the abdomen or chest. Find the place where you feel the breath coming and going, and use that as the point of focus. It's best to choose one place and stick with it. Breathing in, know that you are breathing in. Breathing out, know that you are breathing out. A simple way to stay focused is by quietly acknowledging in your mind, in on the inhalation and out on the exhalation. Of course, you'll quickly realize that your attention will not stay with the breath. The attention will be drawn back into thinking over and over again. In the beginning, the practice of meditation is often just the practice of training the attention to return to the breath. This is totally normal. Each time the attention wanders back to the thinking aspect of the mind, gently redirect it back to the breath. This natural process of training the mind is the essence of meditation. Breathing in, I know that I am breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I am breathing out. Bring the attention back to the simple experience of the breath over and over. If your attention wanders, know that no mistake has happened. This is exactly as it's supposed to be. Gently bring your attention back to the flow of the breath. Breathing in, know that the breath is coming into the body. Breathing out, know that the breath is leaving the body. Each time the attention wanders into thinking or to another sense experience, acknowledge that has happened And then again, return the attention to the awareness of the breath. Breathing in, know that the breath is coming into the body. Breathing out, know that the breath is leaving the body. While you are training the mind in present time awareness of the breath, with the mind's almost constant wandering and returning, it is important to bring a quality of kindness and understanding to the practice. And then simply redirect the attention back to the breath. As we transition into our next practice, I invite you to take 3 deep breaths to let out any tension you might be experiencing right now. Now, bring to mind a situation for you that's causing you a lot of distress or suffering right now. Perhaps you're experiencing a lot of craving, blaming yourself for something, having difficulties in a relationship, or there's something in your life that's hard to deal with. Try picking something that's not too difficult or painful, but that causes you to feel a little stress in your body when you think about it. Imagine the situation in as much detail as you can. Visualize the situation without getting lost in the story. Try to get in touch with your feelings about the situation. Notice any emotions you feel when you think about the situation. There may be more than one emotion you feel when you bring this situation to mind. Label each emotion as you begin to notice it. Anger, fear, disappointment, grief. Notice what emotions are coming up for you right now. Now, choose the emotion that feels the strongest for you. Notice where you feel this emotion in your body. Perhaps there are several areas where you feel this emotion. Is it a foggy feeling in the head? A lump in the throat? Heaviness in the heart? Tightening in the stomach or shoulders? Where do you feel this emotion the strongest? Focus on that area and describe for yourself how it feels. Perhaps it's tight, cold, hot, tingly, heavy, numb. Bring all of your attention to this emotion and how it feels in the body. See if you can soften the feelings and sensations, relaxing any tension or stress. If the emotion feels too intense, focus your attention on the edges of the emotion. Rather than softening the whole feeling, you can try softening the edges or borders of the emotion in the body. Notice if your mind drifts off into thought or tries to distract you from the feelings. It's normal to want to distract yourself from painful feelings. If your mind wanders off, gently bring yourself back by reminding yourself of the situation and getting back in touch with your feelings about it. The goal is not to try and make the sensations disappear. This meditation is intended to allow you to be with the painful feelings, with love and compassion. Acknowledge for yourself how difficult this is. Part of being human is experiencing painful and difficult emotions. The good news is we can learn how to comfort ourselves for the suffering that we experience. If you'd like, place one or both of your hands gently over your heart. Feel your heart and your breath. Feel the warmth of your hands against your chest, offering yourself love, gentleness, and compassion. Offer soothing and comfort to this difficult emotion, telling yourself you know how hard it is to feel this way. Try out some kind, compassionate, loving phrases such as, "This is really hard right now," or "I'm so sorry that you're suffering in this way," or something similar that speaks to you. It's human to experience suffering. May I be kind and gentle with myself. You can use these phrases or pick some of your own and repeat the phrases silently to yourself. This is a moment of suffering. It's human to experience suffering. May I be kind and gentle with myself. If your mind wanders, gently bring yourself back to your breath and then return to touching in with your emotions. These feelings are a natural reaction. You're allowed to feel the way that you feel. Try not to resist or blame yourself for your feelings. Simply what's happening right now. Offer yourself comfort and compassion for how hard this is. Continue repeating the phrases silently to yourself. This is a moment of suffering. It's human to experience suffering. May I be kind and gentle with myself. You can use these phrases like a mantra, reminding yourself to be gentle and kind towards your suffering. This is a moment of suffering. It's human to experience suffering. May I be kind and gentle with myself. Offer yourself whatever words you need to hear most right now. Letting the phrases go. Allow yourself to just feel what's happening right now without trying to change anything. Allow whatever emotions are there to just be there. Remind yourself that you're safe in this moment. Your body is experiencing an emotion. Give yourself permission to allow this emotion to be there. if there's any discomfort that becomes too intense, simply focus on your breathing and return to the flow of feelings when you're ready. Notice any discomfort and allow yourself to feel it. Allow it to be there without trying to fix or change it. Notice if any feelings or sensations change. Allow any discomfort to come and go, like waves in the ocean. As we begin to bring this meditation to a close, bring your attention back to your breath. Begin to bring yourself back into this time and place, placing your hands in your lap, feeling your feet against the floor. You can wiggle your fingers and toes if you'd like. And slowly open your eyes when you're ready. And we'll end with a dedication of merit in keeping with the traditions that I've been trained in. We'll offer a dedication of merit. You can feel invited to press your palms together and try to connect with your capacity to express love. We dedicate the merit of our practice to the rightful indigenous custodians of the land on which we live, work, and offer this workshop. We dedicate without exception all the merit occurred today through our virtuous acts to every living being in the world, and especially to those that we love and to those that we struggle to love. Through the goodness that we've cultivated today, may freedom spontaneously arise in our streams of being. May the things that obscure and distort our ability to see clearly fall away. May we all be liberated from suffering and the stormy waves of birth, sickness, old age, and death. Thank you for sharing your practice with me, and do take care of yourself through the rest of the day.